Hi, I'm Jamie from ESL Teacher 365, and today we will be talking about the differences between International TEFL Academy and CELTA. I personally love testing out TEFL courses to help you decide which course is best for you. So in today's video, I will be sharing the basics, what the differences are between these two courses and some of the pros and cons to help you decide. So if you are catching up on the replay, feel free to leave some comments. I do go back to my comments and I answer questions. And if you are joining live today, there will be Q&A at the end. So you can write your questions as we go, and then I'll go through at the end. So if you'd like to share where you are watching from today, I always like to see where people are in the world. I know I have quite a worldwide audience, so please share where you're tuning in from today. So let's get right into our training for today. First, we'll go over the basics and the format of each course, CELTA and International TEFL Academy. Then we'll look at the assignments, what those are like, some of the differences. Both of these courses include teaching practice. Again, we'll compare those for you. Then we'll look at job search assistance. So after your course, what does that look like with each course? The price, which I know is very important, and then the pros and cons. Of course, this is my personal opinion. I have taken both of these courses, so I will be sharing my opinion as someone who did both of the courses. And then finally, I will offer a recommendation of who should take each course, what I think, if you have certain teaching goals, if I think you should take one over the other, and then live Q&A at the end. So welcome everyone, whether you're attending live or catching up on the replay today. I will have a special offer at the end. I will give you some more details, so definitely stay tuned for that. So first of all, if you haven't met me before, my name is Jamie Gajewski, and I am an ESL teacher. I'm also a dance teacher, and I help mentor teachers. I've been teaching English as a second language since about 2010, and I also am a small business owner. So I'm not one of the big TEFL companies. I'm just by myself right now and working with companies as kind of an independent reviewer. So that's a little bit about me. So let's get started with the difference between these two courses. So let's look at the basics. So International TEFL Academy is a level 5 course, and you can use this course for teaching abroad or teaching online. You can do full-time or part-time. You can do your course online or abroad. So I personally did part-time online, and I found this to be the best format for someone who is working, because there are some strict deadlines, and the part-time was just a little bit easier to manage time-wise while working. And I did my course online. It was very easy to kind of access whenever I needed to, but there are weekly deadlines, so you just have to keep that in mind. I did my course over Easter. I don't recommend doing your course over a holiday because that was a little bit stressful. We were traveling at that time. But if you're also interested in doing a course abroad, International TEFL Academy does have several schools around the world, and you can do your course there, which is really cool too. They are accredited by TQ UK, and they have university level tutors. They all have international teaching experience, so they know what the process is like. And something that sets this apart from CELTA is this talks about teaching both kids and adults, whereas CELTA is for teaching adults mostly. And another difference is that International TEFL Academy offers lifetime job search assistance. So later on in the video, I'll explain kind of what that is, what that includes. For CELTA, this is also a level 5 TEFL course, and it's from Cambridge. There's a lot of confusion out there. People say, should I get a TEFL and a CELTA? No, because CELTA is essentially the Cambridge brand of TEFL. So you do not need both courses. It's kind of considered like the gold standard for ESL teaching. It is an in-person course mostly, but after 2020, some centers started offering online courses. And I've also seen some centers offering hybrid. So you do some in-person, some online. I personally did my course in person here in Australia. It is accredited by Ofqual, which is in the UK. And you can either do the four-week full-time course or 10 or 11-week part-time. Again, I did the part-time course. I was working while taking this course too. And I will say that I worked at my school where I did my CELTA course after I ended up working there a little later on. And I saw some of the trainees who did the 4-week full-time course, and they were very stressed out. I just don't feel like it's enough time to really let all of that information simmer and have enough time to be able to reflect on it. So I personally like the pacing of the part-time course a little bit better. But if you're looking to kind of do your CELTA as fast as possible, you can do the intensive full-time 4-week course. There is observed teaching practice included. So this is different from International TEFL Academy. You can set up your own observed teaching, but it's more on you, whereas in CELTA, it is required. And this will focus on teaching adults. We only talked about teaching kids for, I believe, 1 day of our course. And this is the most well-known TEFL. So if you're looking for a certificate that kind of stands out on your resume, then CELTA is a good choice. So as far as the format for International TEFL Academy, you have readings, quizzes, weekly assignments, peer-to-peer discussion forums where you have to do at least 2 posts replying to other people. So you do your own posts and then 2 replies. And then a 20-hour teaching practicum. You have to teach for a minimum of 6 of those hours. You can observe teachers for the other hours. I recommend trying to do as much teaching as you can and then doing a few observation hours in there. And there's no final exam. That's another misconception people ask about, well, what's the final exam like for a TEFL course? Can't think of any courses that I've taken that have a final exam. It's all like quizzes at the end of the modules. There's never like a final exam. For CELTA, there is a pre-course interview. So they will ask you just some questions to kind of see your grammar knowledge and how comfortable you are with teaching. And it's a bit of a selective process. Not everyone is invited to join a CELTA course. So that's something a little bit different. So just be prepared for that. There are 4 written assignments, which are quite intense. There are no exams for this course either. We had different handouts and recommended books. So recommended reading that would help us through the course. I find that helpful to do some of that reading before your course, because when you're in the course, you don't really have time to be doing extra reading. Then you have something called input sessions where your tutors are giving you information, kind of like lectures and videos, things like that. You have 6 hours of assessed teaching practice with feedback, which is really nice if you're a new teacher. And then you are also doing peer observations of other trainees that are teaching and teacher observations. So there's a lot of paperwork where you are filling out your observations, and it just helps you reflect on your own teaching and look at some examples of other teachers. As far as how the grading works for CELTA, you can get a pass A, a pass B, a pass, or fail. So I personally got a pass B, and my school said that they actually prefer to hire teachers who have a CELTA pass B over pass A, which I thought was interesting, although I know a lot of people try to go for the pass A. Let's look at the assignments for each of these courses. For International TEFL Academy, you can email your instructor or go to office hours if you need some help with the assignments. And there are a lot of assignments. So I did the 11-week course. So I did 11 total assignments, and some took several hours to complete. So that was one kind of downside about the course, is that some weeks the assignments were really intense, definitely the ones that had to do with creating a lesson plan. whereas other weeks it wasn't as heavy. So I tried to work ahead in the readings as much as I could, but you can't always access everything early. So just be aware that some weeks are going to require more work and some weeks are a little bit lighter. For the assignments, you're doing things like analyzing teaching materials, creating lesson plans, creating activities, and other kinds of activities for that. For CELTA, there are 4 assignments, and they are all very standardized. If you're curious about what the assignments are like, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about each specific assignment, so check those out just to get an idea. But there's focus on the learner, a language-related task, language skills and related tasks, and then lessons from the classroom. So for each assignment, you need to write 750 to 1,000 words. And then there's a lot of work when it comes to the lesson plans. So you will be writing full lesson plans for your TP, which is the teaching practice, and then some reflections. So what was most time consuming probably was the lesson planning, but the assignments, you had to do some research and they were quite intense as well. So International TEFL Academy has more assignments, but the CELTA ones were more intense. In terms of the teaching practice, for International TEFL Academy, they require a 20-hour practicum. This includes teaching and observing. The main difference is you need to set it up. For CELTA, they do everything for you. You'll have students coming to your school or online lessons. But for International TEFL Academy, you're in charge of finding a school. You can either do it in person or online, and they do have some resources that you can use, just a lot of different links, and there's some alumni groups, things like that. But I personally did my teaching practicum online because I was already teaching online at that point. But if I were a new teacher, I would go to a local school or a local refugee center. Sometimes there's ESL classes at local churches, things like that, and see if you can set up your own practicum there. And I think it's also important to do as much teaching on your own as you can, see if you can get some feedback on it, but also do some teacher observations of veteran teachers. You'll learn so much from the professionals just watching them in their classes. And the main difference is also there's no standardized feedback. So you can create your own worksheet for people to fill out as they're observing your lesson if they're willing to do that. But CELTA is very standardized on how they offer you feedback. But that is a downside of the teaching prac for International TEFL Academy. For CELTA, you have 6 hours of observed, assessed teaching practice. And again, very standardized, like you have a rubric of what you have to do. You have to create these really intense lesson plans for each lesson. And you also have your peers are going to be giving you feedback as well. And you will be giving feedback to your peers. You will also have 6 hours of veteran ELT teacher observations. So we had a mix of our tutors. You usually have 2 tutors that you work with throughout your course. So you will switch halfway because you'll be doing 2 different levels, and you'll be observing multiple tutors, and then also videos as well. I found that this was in my course, and I've heard some other people who had video observations as well. But again, you're filling out some worksheets to provide some standardized feedback. For CELTA, you get the opportunity to teach 2 different levels of adult students. So we're not teaching kids with CELTA. We're not really learning how to teach kids. We're learning how to teach grammar and the skills to adults. So that is a big difference between the 2 courses. In terms of job search assistance, there are some big differences as well. For International TEFL Academy, they say that they offer you lifetime job assistance. And what that looks like is you'll get an advisor after you finish your course, and then they have different country guides, and these are being updated regularly. From when I first got access to them, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, there were a few guides. Now there are guides for many, many different countries, and it has information on what types of jobs are typical, visa information. You have some information from teachers who have actually taught there, some quotes from them, and what the cost of living is like. So they are very helpful guides. You'll also have access to alumni groups. So there's a big International TEFL Academy alumni group for general questions. And then you do have kind of country specific groups as well. And International TEFL Academy also has connections with different recruiters and companies. So they prefer to work with them and you can get some connections that way. So I haven't personally found jobs through this because I did most of my in-person teaching before I took this course. But if you are a new teacher, I could see where this would be very helpful. There's a lot of information there. CELTA, on the other hand, it depends on your CELTA course center. My course offered us 0 job search assistance. They basically said, okay, you did your course, you paid us your money, where do you want us to send your certificate? Goodbye. But I have heard of some centers providing different resources, but that's really going to depend on your center. So you may have absolutely nothing like I did, or you may have some lists of different schools. Now let's look at the price. For International TEFL Academy, as of today, the normal price is $1,599. There is a deal right now for $1,449 until March 31st. There are different discounts throughout the year. So you'll see maybe $100 off, $150 off, $200. So if you want to wait for a discount, you can definitely do that. They kind of pop up every once in a while. They also offer payment plans now. And I do have a discount code with them that will give you an extra $50 off an online level 5 course. So International TEFL Academy, all of their courses are level 5. So if you would like to get that discount, you will fill out this form, eslteacher365.com/ITA-TEFL. And that will give you the discount code if you'd like to use it. For CELTA, depends on where you take it. So it can be between $1,500 to $4,000 US. That's a big range. So it depends on the country that you're taking it in, the center, how much they're charging. I'm trying to think of when I did mine in Australia, I would think it was like maybe 2,300 Australian dollars, something like that. And if you want to find a course near you, you can go to cambridgeenglish.org/find-a-center/find a teaching center. They have a tool that you can use to find different centers that offer CELTA near you. Now, something important is if you're wanting to do this course online, you'll need to go to that website and they'll tell you if they offer the course in person, online, both. And if you can't find a course that is online near you where you live, check your time zone and surrounding time zones. You might be able to find something in a similar area and you can always sign up there. There are people who also travel to do their CELTA course. So say that you want to go on vacation over the summer in Europe, maybe you take a month and you do the intensive 4-week course at a CELTA center in Europe. So that is also an option that you can do. Okay, some of the pros and the cons. In my opinion, of course, as someone who's done both of these, I think that International TEFL Academy offers the best job assistance of any TEFL course that I've tested. So I think I've tested about 5 different courses now. And the other ones that offer job help, it's just like a list of links and like half of them don't work. So I do like that they have the country guides, you have your advisor to help you with your CV, you have those alumni groups to ask questions. So while it's not perfect, I do see a lot of people kind of complaining about the job search assistance. It's better than pretty much anything that I've seen. So that's my opinion. The assignments are challenging and helpful. I do think it was worthwhile to do all of those assignments. It's a good option if you're looking to do your course online or abroad. Very easy to do online. It is somewhat self-paced, but you do have those weekly deadlines. And then they have different established centers that offer it abroad. And it's good for teaching kids and or adults. So if you're a new teacher, you're not sure if you want to teach kids or if you want to teach adults, or maybe you just want to get certified to teach both, then International TEFL Academy is going to be a better option than CELTA, which just focuses on adults. The cons, both courses, honestly, are an investment. Yes, you can go and get like a cheap $200 TEFL course. I don't recommend the ones that are like $30, but the kind of mid-range $200 one, you could get that, but you're not going to get the job search assistance. You're not going to have that many assignments. It's just a different experience. It's a more challenging course if you go with International TEFL Academy or CELTA. You'll see a lot of the cheaper courses say that they are a CELTA equivalent. That is just marketing. International TEFL Academy, I have found, is probably the closest CELTA equivalent that is a true CELTA equivalent. There are tight deadlines and unequal workload between the weeks. So again, don't do this course over a holiday or if you know that you're going to be traveling, because you might be somewhere without internet access and that can be quite stressful. And if you miss one of those deadlines, you'll have to do the course over, which no one wants to have to do that. It is not the same as an in-person course. Of course, they have that option abroad, so you can do that. But if you're a new teacher, it is valuable to do your course in person if you're planning on teaching in person. I do find that that is a little bit of a different experience. For CELTA, the pros, it's the most well-known TEFL course. So if you put this on your resume, people automatically know what that is. It is preferred in places like the Middle East and Europe. So if you're interested in teaching in those regions, and in some cases, it may be required for non-native speakers. It's also really good if you want to teach adults because it's focusing specifically on how to teach adults grammar and the different skills. It's very challenging, it's very intense, and you'll learn a lot. There are so many things that I learned during my CELTA course that I have used after it, and I'm still very influenced today as far as how I lesson plan, how I approach teaching grammar, those kinds of things. So I taught for 7 years before I took a CELTA course, and I still learned so much when I did mine. And also for CELTA, you do get a ton of feedback on your teaching. So again, if you're a new teacher or even an experienced teacher, then it's very, very helpful. I personally taught kids before I did CELTA, so I learned a lot because I didn't have as much experience teaching adults. Some of the cons, it can be more expensive than International TEFL Academy depending on where you take it. There is little to no job search assistance help. You're not really spending any time talking about teaching kids. If you want to teach kids, do consider that. This also has very strict deadlines. It can be a very stressful course, and not everyone will finish or pass. I'm trying to think of like how many people were in our group. Say it was 12 people. We had maybe, I don't know, 4 or 6 people dropped out during the course and did not finish. And you pay for that. So if you don't pass or you don't finish, that is a large investment. So in my opinion, who should take each course? Let's look at International TEFL Academy first. Anyone new to teaching ESL, I think this is a really good introduction to that. If you're looking for job search assistance after taking your course, International TEFL Academy is a good choice. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, now do be careful. Just because you take a TEFL course doesn't mean that you can teach everywhere. There are a lot of countries that have a bachelor's degree as a visa requirement. So it doesn't matter if you do CELTA, International TEFL Academy, you still won't be able to teach there. But if you don't have a bachelor's degree and you want a course that's quite challenging, that will look good on your resume, both International TEFL Academy and CELTA are a good option. So if you don't have a degree, you're going to be limited to teaching in some countries in Latin America, like Mexico or Argentina, or in Asia, you can teach in Cambodia. You can also take this course if you are a non-native speaker, but you do have to have a C1 level of English, which would be considered advanced. So again, if you're a non-native speaker, you need to be kind of as qualified as possible. And in that way, I always recommend a high quality level 5 course with teaching practice over a cheaper course, because that will help you when you're job searching. For CELTA, very similar. If you're new to teaching ESL, if you want to teach adults, remember it's more focused towards teaching adults. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, but remember that you still need to have that degree for many, many countries. Also, there is a C1 English level requirement to do a CELTA course. And if you're looking to teach in Europe or the Middle East, CELTA, I recommend taking over International TEFL Academy just because it is preferred in those regions. If you're still not sure after all of this, which course should I do? You want to hear a little bit more? You can schedule a 30-minute teacher help call on Zoom with me. Just go to eslteacher365.com/call and we can talk about your options. You can ask me questions about teaching abroad, teaching online, whatever you would like to ask about. So just to go over my discount again, and I do have a special bonus. For International TEFL Academy, you can fill out this form to get an extra $50 off of your online level 5 TEFL course. So it's just a form that you fill out and then you'll get my discount code. And if you purchase an ITA course until June 30th, 2025, I will give you my Teach Online in 10 Days course for free. So all you have to do is send me a screenshot of your enrollment email and then I will send you that course. So if you're interested in that, just send that through. So let's get on to the live Q&A. My camera is just being a little tricky, so give me a second. All right. Here we go. So if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments and I will get back to them. All right, my camera has been a little tricky, but I will go through some of these questions. So Adam is asking, can I teach in the US with my TEFL certificate? So it depends on how you want to teach. For example, if you want to teach in public schools, no, you'll have to be a US certified teacher to access public schools. But if you want to teach in, for example, a private language school, something like that, then you can use a TEFL certificate. So there are definitely people who get TEFL certified and they still teach in the US. So any more comments, just send them through. Liz is joining us today from California. Adam's here. Hi, Adam. So you can have any questions about the courses, or if you have questions about teaching abroad or teaching online in general, just leave me a comment. And if you're catching up on the replay, again, I will go through and answer all those comments. So don't forget that I'm remembering you too. Go, I'm back. So any other questions, just send them on through. I'm also testing out some of the Bridge TEFL Academy or Bridge TEFL courses right now. So I'll have some videos coming up on that. But if you're interested in the TEFL Academy, which is different than International TEFL Academy, I do have a review of that. And I also have a review of Premier TEFL. If you have some other TEFL courses that you'd like me to test out, just let me know. Okay, we've got another question here. Teacher Z, I'm teaching in Taiwan, but schools demand TOEFL +1 out of nationalities. How to overcome that requirement? So is that, for example, if you're a non-native speaker, be careful. TOEFL is an English language exam. So this is typically for people that are non-native speakers. So you'll need to do a TEFL certificate or TESOL certificate to prove that you can teach the language, but you'll also need a TOEFL, IELTS, Cambridge, one of those official English exams to prove your English level. So if you're not a native speaker, they often ask for you to have your TEFL or TESOL certificate so you can teach, but also a TOEFL, IELTS, whatever else they require, English certificate. So there's not really overcoming that requirement. It's just they want to see your English level if you're a non-native speaker. I hope that made sense. Any other questions? You can send them on through. All right. Trying to think of other, I have a few other reviews up on my channel about, for example, there's an International TEFL Academy short course about test prep. So if you're interested in teaching test prep, that can be a really good niche for online teachers. I do have a review of that course up too. And I took the bridge pronunciation course. I absolutely love that one. That review is coming soon. So there are kind of these big TEFL, TESOL certificates that you can take, but then there's other companies that offer little micro credentials. So it could be business English, test prep, online teaching, pronunciation. So if you're interested in kind of getting some more information on those, you can always reach out. All right, don't see any more questions right now. So if you do think of anything, you can either leave a comment down below or you can email me, jamie@eslteacher365.com. And if you would like to schedule a Zoom call with me to ask any questions and get some more personalized answers to your situation, then you can book one of those calls here. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that this was helpful in helping you decide, should I take CELTA, should I take International TEFL Academy, or should I take a different course? Maybe you just want to teach online and you don't need something that is so intensive. It's a very personal choice and it's up to you and your teaching goals. So thank you for joining me today. And I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. Happy teaching. See you next time.